thought, Russell, this film were to be looked at by our descendants, like a Dead Sea Scroll in 1,000 years' time, what would you think it's worth telling that generation?
Mind spins in spirals like the card Cogito. I think, therefore, but do I even know? Hume said the sun might not rise in the morning. Patterns ain't proof, just habits we adorn. Russell's teapot floating out in the void. Invisible doubts that can't be destroyed. Belief ain't a bird and the skeptic employs. Question the noise, the cosmos ploys. Skeptics' eyes always peeping the fraud. Truth ain't handed down, it's wrestled from the gods. Doubts my temple, my faith is flawed. Think it through twice before I applaud. Induction wobbles like a table with no leg. Hume's knife cuts leave certainty begging. A billion white swans, blowing black renegade. Shatter the mirror, the cracks cascade. Cogito feels strong, but is it really? Thoughts build castles, clouds act silly. Russell's pot spins in the ether so freely. Prove it exists or the claim's too dreamy. Am I the dreamer or the dream in the show? The car wrestled devils, still didn't know. Faith and senses, they play tricks on a low. Truth's a mirage in a desert of woe.
When you are studying any matter or considering any philosophy, ask yourself only what are the facts and what is the truth that the facts bear out. Never let yourself be diverted either by what you wish to believe or by what you think could have beneficent social effects if it were believed. But look only and solely at what are the facts.
Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to another Sunday Skeptic Talk. Today, we've had a guest on here that I probably know better than any guest that I've had on so far. I've chatted with more, and I enjoy his company. And we won't make any grand introduction here. We're just going to bring him on in. Professor Hizzel, how goes it, man?
Hey, Robert, man, it's great to be on here. Finally,
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me mute the stream real quick. I had that running inside. Yeah, it's been a while. We've talked for probably a year now, private chats, and finally I've come up with a topic that I feel that I could talk on for a show. So thank you so much for having me on.
Hey, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Absolutely.
No, I think it's a great subject, and it's so weird. Of all of the subjects that we talk about, it's almost like they all come down to this subject. Like, why are we even communicating? And like, why do we have these? Why are we compelled to these spaces to start with, to have these conversations? So I'm curious, first of all, do you think that there is a particular reason that is universally shared? Or do you think everybody kind of comes with their own motivations, and where are you at on all that?
I think first and foremost, the majority of people are probably still operating on human beings finding community to some degree, for positive reasons, for negative reasons, for whatever, but humans looking for other humans, maybe even in a somewhat captive environment, for better or for worse. I've been in these spaces since the early to mid 90s, not exactly YouTube, but internet communities. And it definitely seems like a trend that people are looking for community. Like I said, for better or for worse. Some people are looking, it seems to me that some people, or most people, are looking to share their ideas, and find other humans to talk to, ultimately. I know it's basic, it's simple, but there's when we're online, we can somewhat shape our persona to a certain degree, and that is somewhat of a safety feature that I was talking to my sister, who's a psychologist, about this topic, and there is a safety feature with going online, being able to, like I said, being able to craft ourselves to a certain degree. we have no history. Nobody. The only history we make here is, or the only history that we have is that which we make, or that gets found out.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if we have some skeletons, but yeah, I think first and foremost, we're coming here for the people, or at least the majority of us. I believe that there are some people who are interested in the captive audience to share their ideas, and not inherently bad, but I think some of us, like me, are here to not validate, not justify, but maybe there's a better word, but just to find like-minded people, not necessarily to coerce, but to find like-minded people, and like some people have said in here, challenge themselves. I've got some notes from some people I've asked around. Personal connections is very high. Challenging personal beliefs, I think, is a noble, pursuit. And it seemed like a lot of people were in that when I polled. And for me specifically, and a few other people, I'm really looking to understand other people, for whatever reason. I want to understand them. I think that helps me understand myself. But that's definitely a drive. I would say for me, it would definitely be personal connections, and understanding of people. Challenging my beliefs would definitely be a close third. But I'm one of those type of people that needs to connect. And I've told you this before. I collect people. If you're in my group, I've collected you. You're I not that I say that I find value just in these individuals, but I find interest. I find interest in their personalities, and it's across the board. It's not just atheists. It's not just it's across the board. Generally not assholes. We keep the assholes at bay. There's enough of us in there.
We try.
Yeah, we try. But even there's been some assholes that have come in and tempered themselves. Once we see the group, and as a community builder, which I enjoy that title, and I've been asked to do that in some instances. As a community builder, I think it's important to not focus on any one of these particular things and just allow people to come and maybe they don't know why they're here. I think that's a big one too. I'm not sure if everybody knows why they're here. I've stopped and think about it.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
and I don't know that we totally know.
Sure.
Why we're here. I think there's probably a lot of overlaid motivations. It's like if you put a bunch of magnet beads, like we might be able to identify the biggest magnet bead that's making the pool. Like we might be able to identify them, but there's other little magnets that are kind of a part of it that are drawing it in as well. It's weird. I used to be a part of a gaming community, and in that gaming community, it was always just around the game, right? And so it was always just around the game experience. So when we would come in, sometimes politics or other things would start getting talking, and there'd be these debates and arguments. And they're like, look, are we here to game or what? Right.
Right.
And then everything would only coalesce around that. Mm-hmm. And what's weird is I was reading an article about older campfires that people would gather around the campfire kind of thing. And the campfire in older cultures, like this was the living room kind of, this was where everybody gathered. It was the life-giving source for everybody. Mm-hmm. And when you find even older terminologies in the Hebrew where they use the term, he sat at another fire. What this meant was that he wasn't at our campfire. He's a guy from another campfire. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like a type of totem that says, yeah, this person doesn't gather around the same source that gives life. Like our group, our culture, like this is it. So when we talk about outsiders, we can even think of them as somebody of another fire, another campfire, so to speak. So
Sure.
it's an interesting thing.
It is. And on that topic, the idea of gathering to a community as a life-saving or as a life-protecting action, that's probably what we did. I don't know how many loners were out there on their own, but when you see that fire, when you see that community, there's a safety. There's a safety element to that as well. That's what me and my sister discussed a lot, is the safety in numbers aspect, and we may be willing to change a few of our ideals to fit in with the group, as long as the group is, overall healthy and or appears healthy, and has the qualities that we share as well. We may tweak some of those qualities just to fit in. At least some people do. We have found definitely some people who don't temper themselves in the group. They're willing to join regardless, or they want to join regardless. They're drawn to the group. We know people in chat who probably would not enjoy hanging out with us.
Yeah.
We probably wouldn't enjoy hanging out with them in our groups, but they still come to these places. There's reason for it. Sorry, this light's making my eye water. And those are some of the interesting individuals that I'd like to, I'd like to hear more. I'd like to learn more. It probably wouldn't. We probably won't learn too much from those individuals themselves, but people who come here that aren't looking for community, people who come to these spaces who are looking to challenge other people's ideas, looking for conjecture, in a negative way, not in a community way. Those are the ones that I'm really interested in studying, why they're coming, or at least why they can't. I think they are looking for community, but they don't understand how to do that. And so those are of particular interest to me.
It's like you can do coalescence around, I like that too, or you can do coalescence around, I hate that also. Right. So right. And kind of everything in between. This is why we're gathering. So some people might literally gather because they too see something as a threat or as a problem.
Sure.
And like we gather together. It's almost like a herd mentality, like herds of buffalo. When lions come around, they all start pushing in together. They're like all pushing in together. And I do think there's some of that. I think some of it might be that we're looking for a little justification that we're not crazy, since we're a minority generally in a larger picture. And other people see the problems of coming to the conclusions and stuff. They see the skipping over the method of coming to conclusions that other people are using, and they feel like, I'm not crazy here, right? These people totally skip steps to come to this conclusion. And then they just want to some degree, they want some kind of ratification that, no, you're not crazy. We see it too. They totally skip steps, and they're just saying that this thing is true. It's a problem.
Yep. Absolutely. And along those lines, how you were talking about the buffalo or whatever tightening in, for a quote unquote predator, quote unquote, somebody who wants to maybe push their ideals, or maybe just win a debate sport match, any of those things, while on one side, while on the quote unquote predator side, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. But when our ideas get torn apart, when we're not ready for it, when we're not expecting it, just out in the field, when they get torn apart, that's very painful. And we try to avoid that, for the most part, and being in that group, that group is even if it's not cohesive, it looks like it's cohesive, and it looks like a larger target, You know, anytime we're not alone, we feel more confident, and being able to say, yeah, you know, my group is pretty logical. You know, we're going to defend each other to a certain degree. You know, I can usually expect what I'm going to get from you. You know, when we're talking,
Usually, I try to be a little unpredictable every once in a while.
Yeah, which is good. You know, I mean, which is good. We're all individuals, but you know, there's strength knowing that the things that I'm going to push for, Robert probably has a similar, you know, belief structure in that regard, and having that team around you, having that group around you, you know, or having it around us definitely adds confidence to us. I was able, once I was in these groups, like I've been in on the internet in chat groups for a long time, but really when I came here, why I came here, you know, was to find community, was to collect people, find people to collect, but also testing my ideas, you know, putting a good conjecture, you know, understanding people, of course, but challenging my personal beliefs. Am I correct? You know, and how I can refine kind of what I believe down into words, so to speak, more so than just feeling. So,
yeah. So I wanted to shift gears just slightly, and we could probably come back around to it. I wanted to see, what are your thoughts on what do you think people outside of these groups, whether it's theists in one group or another group, what they think about us kind of gathering? Because I know you've probably heard it before, like me. Well, if you don't believe in this, why do you even care, kind of thing? And I'm curious, what do you think about this? Do you think that's really their mentality, or how do you think about how they perceive the clustering group of buffalo, so to speak?
Yeah. I think their clustering group of buffaloes is questioning why we aren't part of their cluster. They want their cluster to be larger, of course. The bigger your cluster, the, you know, the quote unquote more power you have, the more justified you feel. You know, the whole echo chamber concept, for you know, not necessarily in a negative way, but you know, we're sharing our ideas. We have like-minded individuals gathering. I think it's a very real threat to other people. I think groups of non-aligned individuals are a threat to certain groups. Even atheists and naturalists, or whatever we call ourselves, are threatened by a group of people who believes, you know, things that are completely off from what we believe. I think there is a threatening element between these two that can be rationally done away with, of course, through communication and whatnot. But no, I definitely think a lot of these groups are fearful of one another. Definitely, you know.
Yeah, I think I think when they have people in these groups that are, you know, it's weird to say benign, but they're not attempting to make encroachments on particular liberties of ours. They don't understand why this is happening, and maybe they don't understand that people in their group are trying to make encroachments on that. And I've had these conversations with people of two different mindsets. I've had the conversation with theists that say, but you're in this country and the majority kind of rules, and we should be able to put Christianity in school systems and teach this and this, that, and the other. And they have no problem with the majority rules, unless, you know, we have there have these conspiracies of a city or something that has Sharia law. And then, but I'm like, but if this is true, isn't that the majority in that community? Why can't they just? And then there's no. You know, a bigger outside group needs to die. So it's almost this might is right kind of mentality about it, and they're totally disconnected from it. Whereas there are people that are theists, there are people who are Christians, Muslims, or otherwise that understand the problem, and they understand, look, you have your right to your autonomy and your children, and if you don't want to be a part of this religion, I understand. But then they're the ones that ask that question: why do you even come to these conversations? Why do you build communities? Why do you, right? Does that make sense?
Yes. They're I mean, my off the cuff is we come here to get away from you. That's we're absolutely terrified because you've been in control for all the time, as far as we're concerned. And I wouldn't say necessarily building up a resistance. Well, maybe building up a resistance, but not anything to overthrow or whatnot. We're definitely more into the overthrowing through ideals and changing of minds than force. But this is something that they've used for, I say they, organized, these organized religious, they've used might for the longest time because it fucking works. I mean, it's something that works. You can force somebody to at least, follow, not necessarily believe, but follow through force. And it's not working anymore because society has changed to where we can't do that really anymore. And so I think that that's definitely a threat. It's a losing power type situation. And then they say, why do you even waste your time, creating your groups? Why not just, and I think that's all a subtle kick at, that they're afraid, that they're terrified that they could be wrong. That's another thing, is not just the might part, but my beliefs are stronger because there's more people that believe them. That group can increase the veracity of how confident I am in my beliefs, for better or for worse. And I think there's more, we'll say, free thinkers who understand that the numbers don't matter, the math matters. That's that, to use a word. I think it's very much fear. It's very much fear of losing power, losing control. That has been in play for all of Western civilization. I mean, this is something that has been here for literally forever, as far as we're concerned. And losing that power, just like losing the power in the United States, as we try to move more towards an equitable situation. People see that as an attack on them, especially if they've been in a preferential situation. And religion has been in a preferential situation for thousands of years. So
I think there's something to be said also about kind of the psychology of being comfortable with not knowing something for certain, right? So people who want a sense of certainty, they have the confidence, and you've probably seen it many times, that religions so often come with all of this confidence, like the confidence of a young buck in everything that they say, right? Whereas there are many people that you could ask them questions that they could tell you, I don't know, and they're completely content with like not having that answer. Unless that answer is correct, there's no sense in like putting forward a bad answer, right? And the reason I find this interesting is people who cluster together under this veil of confidence, it seems to me they're more aggravated by a group that's outside of it and saying, I don't believe that, because they need their confidence in their proposition bolstered. And that means outside people are more of a threat to it. Whereas if you're in a lower confidence state, or you're like, well, there are certain things that I don't know, you might not be as challenged by external ideas, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's what's going on a little bit. And I think it's why you have people in very fundamentalist religions specifically, whether that's Christian or Muslim or otherwise, that they're like, no, I know this, I know that. And they're the apologists that we regularly encounter on these side chats and whatnot. And that's because people not believing that thing that they know with absolute certainty is challenging them. Whereas the Christians that are more almost like agnostic, like Christians or Muslims, they're like, I can see this, I can see that, and they're not as challenged by. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah,
It does.
I think that's what's going on.
Yeah. They're as long as there's some nugget of, of belief there, and theism, at least Christianity, has been so distilled down into, the dogma that they can, as long as you're following some aspect of it, there's camaraderie there. Okay, you believe this. Both sides can say, or the light theist and the heavy theist can, like you said, they can find that central ground. But holy shit, if I don't believe that, Jesus Christ literally resurrected, then I'm totally on the opposite side. It for some people, yeah, there's no gray area. There's you have to believe this or else. And I think it's easy for people to say that, in like the light theists to say that, because what are you going to do? How are you going to prove that? There's, it's whatever it is. It's the one miracle that happened, and then I can go off and never think about miracles ever again. I don't believe in miracles, but oh yeah, there was this one miracle that happened. Yeah, I think they're able to dig through and kind of like how I can ask, 3 or 4 or 5 questions and know if somebody's going to be right for the group that I'm in. They have their kind of purity test ready to go as well. Which one's better, I don't know. That's subjective, but yeah, I think there is a huge amount of threat when somebody says, yeah, I don't believe those things. I don't believe those things were true. Yeah, that challenging of somebody is scary when you're not used to it. I think once you get challenged enough, maybe you feel more comfortable with it. I'm very comfortable with saying I don't know. I'm actually more comfortable saying I don't know than I am saying something definitive anywhere, even at work. So yeah, I think that's a big part. Lack of overall intelligence, I think, is a big one. There are some individuals, which I think on that topic, that's very interesting to me, of highly educated people who still believe. That's an interesting topic for me. And yeah, the whole being able to abstract our emotions from our thoughts, from our beliefs and whatnot. It's something that I normally attribute to being able, or for people who are highly educated being able to do. But then I see many people that I respect that are highly educated that they do still have a strong belief. So those are one of the people that I come here to understand. That's one of the reasons I am here, is to understand strong believers and why they believe what they believe. You're muted.
Thank you for telling me that. I appreciate you catching me early before I went off on a rant on that.
We've talked for a while. You know what? I know it happens. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I want to going back to what we were talking about a moment ago, to the different groups and why they gather. You mentioned that some of them come for the argument. They come for the fight. They come for the debate. And we know that's the case. So even channels like, and when you've been a fair amount part of bloodbath debates, like that's something that people come for blood, so to speak. They come for the debate. And maybe they're just sharpening their skills because they think the other side has something that's damaging. It's damaging something to their ideas. Maybe it's damaging society. Maybe it's damaging on the theistic side. It's damaging the plan of salvation. But these are drawn swords of ideas that clash very heavily. And I think to some degree, people who wind up taking up that sword and defend one of these sides, we also get some degree of attraction to those people, to hang out around those people, because they're like, if you can imagine the buffalo thing again, there are some of the big buffaloes with the big horns and the big neck muscles. They push out of the crowd against the enemy, so to speak. And a lot of them were like, hey, we're going to stick around with him. We're going to stick around with him. So I think a lot of relationships, a lot of things wind up getting done. I have a few people that I like to listen to because I feel like they draw blood, so to speak, in the conversations. And they point out and articulate well some of the problems with our opposition. So I'm curious what you think about this dynamic and how that's working as far as how we accept the people that I want to fight. And sometimes we also have people that they only want to fight. And we're kind of turned off by them to some degree.
Yep.
Does that make sense? It
does make sense. I would say, yeah, absolutely. This is what do we find when we get here? And yeah, so you're one of those bighorn buffaloes. Kurt's one of those bighorn buffaloes. Phil Sober, hello, brother. Good to see you. Phil's one of those. UG, definitely one of those. Yeah. I would lie. I would be lying if I said I didn't find strength around you guys.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. I don't think I'm a little one. I'm just trying to be with the big boys. I don't have I got a missing horn here or there, but I'm like, I'm going to fight.
Once we get to a certain age too, it's we have a lot less to lose. By putting our neck out. But yeah, no, I agree with that. We definitely organize around our strongest members, and I come to see that to a certain degree. I don't want to see total destruction. I am looking for thought bubbles happening in the opposition. I hope for that. I'd like that. But yeah, there's everybody's got a certain amount of bloodlust in them, to see. And I will tell you, really the only joy I get, or the only entertainment I get watching the big buffalo gore something is when somebody comes in so unbelievably arrogant.
Yes.
That's food for my soul.
Absolutely.
Oh, hold on.
You're fine. Yeah. No, I agree. But I think that's in general. We want the karma to be to those people, especially those that represent this unbelievable degree of confidence that they don't know what they're talking about. We want to see blood drawn on them.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the arrogance part. It's not just the confidently wrong, but I think there's a certain amount of arrogance.
Let's address your dog in the room. Hello. What's your dog's name?
That's Winnie. Winnie is the loud one, and Franklin is the lower voice. The dogs are a big part of my life, and the neighbors are having something going on, and the dogs don't enjoy that.
Okay.
But no, they're a huge part of my life. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm part of the dogs, and the dogs are part of me. Hold on one second.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Secular Quranism says, have I been disabled from posting? You definitely haven't, as you see. If there's anyone that's on a list there that wind up being done so by YouTube, I still even try to go back and prune those and see why they might have done so. Presently, and hopefully always, I don't have anybody on the ban list, but I don't mind if any moderators time somebody out that they think are problematic.
Yeah, and just to just to address this, I'm very well. I mean, we haven't been introduced to one another, but yeah, secular Quranism. I'm very aware of your presence.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any introductions needed.
Yeah. And I don't want to get off into the side chat much, because we'll do that after we reach the top of the hour. But hey, Ed, how's it going, man? So where were we at on the conversation? I lost my track and pace a little.
The dogs put us off track. Yeah, they the bloodlust of watching somebody get absolutely destroyed, but not necessarily absolutely destroyed, but people who come in with non-logical assertions and
Hitchens said something like this. He said there are ideals that deserve to be destroyed.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
There are ideals that are just that bad that they deserve to be humiliated.
For sure.
Right. And so whenever I hear people talk about like the ark, right, for example, I like this is one, like, I don't care how bad these people get devastated. Like this cannot be a true thing.
Yeah.
Right? It can't. So I'm totally fine with the devastation of that. Whereas other people that are coming more, good faith and not as fundamentally latched in, like they're willing to talk logically about things. Yeah, maybe we don't want to see blood drawn on them, even to the degree that when we see people on our side fighting them and they're not really fighting back, we don't like it. Like it sometimes it doesn't feel comfortable because people are going for the throat and the people are just making conversation.
Absolutely, yeah, and I'm that is disingenuous and yeah, no, it's holy shit. If you have somebody who's willing to talk, why destroy that? Like, that's wasteful. 100%, absolutely. It's not bloodlust above all. No, it's only when ideas are dangerous or when ideas are so off the wall that and if you're going to tell me I'm wrong, you're going to have to convince me of that. Gibberation isn't just going to do that. I'm telling me all the things that convinced you is great, but they're probably not going to align with what it's going to take to convince me. Robin wants a throat. Robin's ready for a throat. That's another one. I've learned a lot from Robin too. Robin is one of those as well. That protects the tribe, so to speak.
Yeah, I think it's interesting dynamics that we have going on inside of any groups. But what's weird to me is, like, I left this kind of, I found out that there was some kind of society, some kind of like groups that were here, but I left it because of the groups that I engage with in real life. I live in Louisiana and I engage with a lot of people that while I think they believe things for the wrong reasons, I do think for the most part, these are good people. I meet them every day. I meet good Christians every single day. I've met many old people that thought that I was a Christian when I wasn't a Christian, and has regularly ends our conversations with "God bless you," and they just tacitly assume in many instances that I must be a Christian also. And unless they outright push me on the subject, I don't say either which way, because I don't want these kind of titles or tags or things to, like, they have been judging me based on the actions that I do, and they like me and they're totally good with me. There's no need to introduce, the model that you think creates morality. I don't think that creates morality. Introducing that's not going to do anything for our dynamic, it seems like. So what happened was I came out of these groups and I didn't really have anything to do with them for a long period of time, like 15 years. And I was more interested in, I talked on the subject of politics because I thought politically we were sliding in the wrong way. And I've kind of divorced myself more so from those conversations and those kind of groups that are around those conversations. I do still get engaged with them sometimes, but I went into a gaming group. And we just we coalesce around playing a game. But the problem is, when those lions come, and they always do, we realize that we have to be a part of this herd thing to some degree. And the reason that I mentioned that, and I've told you before, the 10 Commandments, they tried to push them back in the schools. They posted them up in my child's school.
In Louisiana?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
They took my child by the hand in a circle, the teacher prayer circle in a public school, and led them in prayer. And I had to engage with the principal on the subject. Oh, she's a veteran teacher, more the reason she should have knew better, more the reason that she should have absolutely knew better. And kind of engaged with this to the degree that we're going to get lawyers and stuff involved, and get foundations involved in it. And it all got back down, it all got apologized and all. But these things are regularly, these encroachments are regularly, they're right there. People want this so bad. They want to get a hold of our children, get a hold of the credulous. They want to push things into legislation that are for religious reasons and everything else. These are the lions that we're talking about. So it's why we find it's only because of those lions and realizing they come really close to home that I say, you know what? I got to get back in these groups. And whether I have good horns or not, I'm going to be a buck. I want to fight these concepts. And maybe I need to do some more so fighting them in the legal side, and maybe fighting them in the ideal side of, even if you believe this thing, you shouldn't try to encroach this thing on someone else. But I wind up taking the more kind of, there's no good reason to believe this thing, and I put my dukes up about that. Maybe we all do. I don't know. Maybe my argument should have been more so in a group that said, believe what you want, but your ability to enforce that on me through power, that's an immoral act, right? And maybe that should have been more my line. And maybe I'll start trying to recognize that more and shift more of that direction. But that's what's to some degree pulled me into the group that I, in large part, disassociated with.
Yeah. I think these groups, these online groups, have given secular folk a way of fighting back for this kind of thing. This is a relatively new situation. We're not hiding in speakeasies and shit. We're able to kind of, dwell out in the open, but congregate, as well around our ideas. And that's I think it's a good tool. I saw that. I think it's a good tool. It's take care, Phil. Good to see you. But yeah, I think it's been great to give us. It's been a great tool to give us strength to do these sort of things, to be able to congregate and share our ideas, and be and not even an internal, but an internal aspect, but an external aspect. We were able to show that, there are quite a few people who are aligned on this. And you are going to find some opposition when you start trying to put things in my children's schools. When you try to put the 10 Commandments in the schools, when you try to do this neo push back into fundamentalism, because this isn't a new thing for this country. I'm sure that they were proudly displayed in schoolhouses for a long time, prior to the modern times. And so this is coming back. This is a push coming back, and I think it's very advantageous for us to group up and show that we're not just a disparate, we're not a collection of disparate individuals, strewn about. That no, we are actually coming together and thinking about these things.
Yeah, we also have these groups, and I'll say in advance, I'm fixing to, I guess, 3 more Sundays, I'm fixing to have Miss Kelly from Detroit Atheist on to talk about humanism.
Sure.
But we also have groups that wind up forming inside of the aggregate of these secular things, like that they don't have a deontological belief of ethics, in that God said it, therefore it's right. So because they're pulling away from that, they want to form a group, not particularly around a negative or I don't believe this. They want to form groups around moral predispositions towards people. And even those secular moral predispositions towards people, it's such as humanism. And it's almost like it's a doctorial moral behavior that they're agreeing to, that they're refining, and that they're coalescing around that campfire, so to speak. There's almost like a campfire that sometimes comes in with our campfires, and that campfire is we should treat people in a good way. We should reach out, these charities and these other things, and not need a religion to do that, right? So I'm interested in those campfires also, and how they're very tangential to us, that are gathering more so as an I don't believe this, and I believe this is damaging. Some of those are they don't believe it, but that's not why they're coalescing. They're coalescing around a positive thing, which is I believe in the affirmative. This is how human beings should be treated.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely. You know, and I haven't looked too much, but some over there in the chat, you know, I don't see any value in believing something that isn't true, and I don't believe what you're saying is true. Not you, but I just don't believe that. I don't believe that it's true. I don't see that there's any value in believing that just for emotional reasons. I'm able to regulate my emotions. I'm able to deal with things in life. I'm able to, you know, I don't need that crutch. Not everybody is in the same position as me. I understand that, but I don't need that. And part of me coming into these places is to you know, I'm less willing or less capable of these arguments, and less interested, mostly less interested in the because I know what it you know, it's not gonna convince either of us. So you know, I see that as a threat on my time, not as much as a threat on my beliefs.
Yeah.
You know, growing up, you know, I have a lot of people who preach. You know, I grew up with a ordained priest as a parent, and I've heard the pleas, I've heard the stories. You know, I know, you know, I'm not as biblically learned as definitely you or any, you know, for most theists, probably most atheists as well. But it's not as though I don't have intelligent conversations with my parents, you know, on the topic. You know, I mean, it's not that I haven't heard these things before. And to be perfectly honest, I you know, who the fuck is Big Nick? Who the fuck is all these people? Like, you know, I have a parent who's a priest. I'm not believing anything you say. Like who the hell are you? Like, yeah, like, you're not going to convince me of shit, you know, and probably
like, my mama couldn't convince me. Look, you don't stand a chance.
You don't stand a chance. And I have a vastly better relationship with my parent who's a priest. And, then, and I believe that their, you know, their relationship with their beliefs are, no, just, and sorry, as a tangent, I just have to address this. No, Claire, I think you're an abject danger to society. Just yeah. I think you're. I think
Claire Call.
Yeah, Claire Call. Secular Quranism. Yeah, I think you're a clear danger to
clear and present danger.
Clear and present danger to society. Yeah. Yeah, I think your beliefs are off kilter, and I'll fight against them. Yeah, till the day I die. But but yeah, I don't think a lot of people. I think a lot of people come to these spaces thinking that, oh, they have the big defeater, they have the big killer. Look, you know, this is what convinced me. And sorry, Kat, I mean, like, you would think after a couple months, maybe a year of seeing people talking, that they would learn, or that they would understand. Now I'll talk at you, but I'm not interested in talking to you. Sorry. Yeah, I think that people are arrogant to the point where they believe that their ideas are better than than everybody else's. And as soon as you come in with that, my ideas are better for me. But as soon as I start saying, no, your ideas are wrong for you, then I have a problem. That's when I have a problem.
Yeah. Now, I'll say this. There can be something about the standards by which we have confidence in a particular claim that maybe we're coalescing with one another based on the standards. So like if someone comes into a group and they make some assertion of a conspiracy theory, for example, there might be people in that group that they have filters that they need certain epistemological information to come to those conclusions. And when people are just coming in and they're spewing conspiracy, what happens is that group will wind up coalescing around the notion that these people are not meeting the burden of proof for these claims. They're just they're not doing it. And in that, they're in agreement that, like, to make such grand claims, there needs to be evidence to support that. Sure. And sometimes I find that people coalesce in these groups and they come to them just because they feel like the outside groups are coming to all of these conclusions and they don't have good method to come to these conclusions. And they just want to coalesce with people that have better methodology of coming to conclusions. And we find this all the time in particular fields of science, or where people are a specialist in something. And we conversate with all the time people that are studying it for chemistry or studying for something else, that they use these kind of disciplines of coming to a conclusion. And we like them and we like to learn from them because we don't know. None of us know everything. But if we come to the table with, we don't know, and we want better methods of coming to conclusions, we want to coalesce with people that have better methods, then when somebody that comes out in with a conclusion that they have no method whatsoever, then we're like, no, not that guy. No, not him. Not them. Push them out. You're coming in and you're just making assertions. You're just saying this is the case. I have this verse. I have that verse. And those people we generally try to get out of the group. You're a little lying, pushing in the herd.
Yep. You're not using that. And on that topic, I mean, I'm verses. I hear you guys fight verses all the time, and that's great. I mean, I get it. I understand. It's like I'm still before that. I'm still, why the fuck are we dealing with a book of ancient poetry as our worldview? That's bizarre. Yeah, I have to get over that. Verses don't do shit. Like, okay, it's just it's arguing over an undescribed color of a lampshade in a Harry Potter novel. That's it. What did the author mean? What did the author intend for this lampshade to be? I don't give a fuck. But people coming into these groups, it's very easy, like you said. I mean, there's a very easy test to know if they're coming with logic or they're coming with emotion. Sometimes once we've achieved something logically in our brain, once we've come to a conclusion logically, we may put some emotion behind it after that, but that doesn't mean we came to the conclusion using emotion. And I think a lot of the religious side does come with emotion, and then when they try to join these groups, like you said, they get a lot of pushback. They get this isn't, and maybe in their minds they're thinking, well, everybody's coming to these through emotion. Not everybody's using logic. If you don't know how to, not that if you don't know how to use logic, but if you're so stuck behind this, cultural, and which is another big problem. A lot of Christianity, a lot of religion is cultural, and that cultural push is almost impossible to break out of unless you know how, or unless you're ready to be a singleton. Unless you're, and I was a singleton for a long time. My entire family is religious, not hateful. I never went through a rejection phase with my family on either side, but I did. I felt like an other, because they all felt a certain way, and I can say that coming to these groups was very therapeutic in that regard. In that I was able to find, I wasn't alone, so to speak. In that sort of situation.
Yeah. Whenever I first got out of the church, I didn't know there was any of this. I didn't know there was anything like this for the longest time. And I just couldn't believe this concept anymore. I didn't even know that there was a word for it. Like, I just considered myself a non-believer, right? And I only say that because, like, that's a term that's used in the Bible, in the KJV version, which I regularly read. You know, oh, they're just not. I'm not a believer. I don't accept it. I don't think this is true. And I didn't realize that there was a group that kind of uses a name or mantra to identify themselves. And they didn't create it. You know, theists used the term atheist to identify people who didn't believe in their God. But that there are people who identify as just as I don't believe this thing. So whenever I was learning about that, and which was a little later, the first ones that I saw Christopher Hitchens. I saw a YouTube video of him after I had decided this thing is not true. I don't buy it. There's holes in it. About probably 6 or 7 months, I had already let go of it. Had my whole just ego death, cried, snot, everything like this thing is like I lost Santa Claus as a small child, right? Absolutely horrible. And then I started looking at like why people believe this. And I didn't know how damaging some of the belief structures were. And then I saw Christopher Hitchens on a video. And I remember in a book that I was writing and that I've paused for a little while, describing Christopher Hitchens as seeing him like a warrior with a spear fighting the Leviathan, right? That this is this giant. And then you see these other people that have kind of taken up arms against this kind of doctorial nonsense that has polluted so much of society, and they're taking arms up against it and they're fighting it, and they're far more knowledgeable in that fight than I am. But to see them fighting something that I've already now recognized as a problem was so awe-inspiring to me, that it was being fought on a larger stage at colleges, at universities, that these were ideals and concepts that many people just tacitly say because they were taught that as a child, that thing must be true, that he was fighting these things. So you talk about some huge respect for the big bull, so to speak, that is fighting for a group. That made me recognize there was a group. There are people who are minorities, and they're not just non-believers, but even like Muslims or people in another religion that doesn't want their child taught something in the school system that is not in accordance with, and they're just being rolled over, right? Because they're a minority. They don't have the numbers. Yeah. He's a bull for all of that. And I thought it's something that finally drew me into these groups, but then I came out of them for a little bit.
Yeah. Hold on. Later, I was going to type it out. Later, GG. Thanks for coming, man. Yeah. Great to see you. Love your brother.
There's a mod in there too.
Oh, and what up, mod? No, and I do appreciate people who can move between these groups. I know this is a little off, a little tangential, but I thinking about people, Casey's out in chat too. I try to be one. I have some groups that I go to. I'm good friends with Connor. I'm good friends with a couple of the other people that hang out in there who are theists. I'll say that if I'm going and hanging out in a group of theists, I'm probably not going to push my ideas. I'm probably just going to listen and nod and not mess with that group's cohesion. I do respect the cohesion of the groups, and I get what I can out of groups of people. But I do enjoy, and I do applaud people who can do that, who can jump from group to group and not necessarily need to profess their beliefs to that group, knowing that they don't care, that you're not going to convince them. This isn't the environment to convince people. And I know some people are driven that's what they're instructed by their religion and their beliefs, that they need to do that. That's going to be difficult. That's going to make your life difficult. I don't necessarily respect those people who feel that they always need to push their ideas. Or I have less respect. Yeah, definitely for those people.
Yeah. If you can't have a regular human conversation with somebody about something that is not an argument, what the hell are you doing with your life? I don't know how people like this' social life is, but there's very few people that I run into that are like that. But I have for sure run into several people that they come for a fight. They're always present for a fight. Everything is about a fight. Everything is about an argument. There's no common ground about any day-to-day life and activities. That's a sad sight for me.
Yeah. I'm, and it's funny you say sad. I do feel sorry for those people. That I see that they're scared. You know, they're being challenged. They don't know how to do that. They don't know how to reconcile that in their head, that other people might not believe what they believe. And it's possible that, it's possible that they don't, that they're not strong enough to maintain it without that level of angst. You know, they're not, they
or they could have wounded animal kind of thing. Maybe something's hurt them to the degree that everything is just the fight now.
Sure.
It's all just the fight. I know I've seen that too. And we see it even with people that are not believers, whether you call them atheists or whatever they identify themselves as, that they have been injured by an institution and they subsequently, they're dukes up all the time.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
All right. Well, we're reaching the top of the hour. We're going to do a quick bathroom break and then we're going to open the stage up. So with that said, if I can get the videos playing here.
Yep.
I'm going to. All right. We'll be back after this brief bathroom break. Appreciate it.
Pressure remains. Take the break. Don't wait too long. Little things get heavy when you try to be strong. Stand up, breathe out, let it all unwind. Peak break time is a friend of mine. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, yeah. I learned it the hard way, lesson in tow. What you ignore can come back slow. Keep it moving, keep it sane. A bathroom stop can save you some pain. Take the break. Don't wait too long. Little things get heavy when you try to be strong. Stand up, breathe out, let it all unwind. Peak break time is a friend of mine. Yeah, 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 yeah. As you come to the tone, small task. You do your best and leave the rest. We return shortly to this show. The panel is open, but I have to go. This break won't really take too long. Little things get heavy when you try to be strong. Now the panel's open, answers on the line. Q&A will start in just a little time. Oh. Yeah, 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 yeah.
All right. Enough of that thing. Wanted to cut it a little short earlier. Your mic might be muted presently or flipped down. I didn't hear you. Nope. Nope. Anybody else hearing him? Is this just me? I don't hear you. Oh, you know what? I got you. I'm sorry.
Woo woo.
My fault. That's totally my fault.
I was just sitting here saying, host has muted your mic. Host has muted your mic. No.
My bad.
All good.
I just didn't want you. You didn't mute it. It wasn't muted. So while that was playing, I wanted to mute it in case he was having any side conversations. It wasn't playing in the video that you didn't know about it.
Sure.
But excellent. So we're back and we have open chat. Anybody that we have had a lot of activity actually in the side chat here. So whether you are a theist or an atheist, we're interested in having a conversation with you, or you're welcome onto the stage. Hopefully that link is pinned. Does anyone see the link or want to join? Y'all click on it. Robin, is the link still there? I need to pull it up from the YouTube side. Yeah, the link's there. So anybody, everybody can join and have the conversation. But while we wait for the first one, what have you been primarily doing, and where do people find you, man?
You can find me chatting with Robert in various Discord channels. No, I don't have anything of my own. Tacos is taking a little break. He's coming back, but that's primarily where I came from. Was helping Taco out, bringing the show up, and so yeah, Tacos. You can see me on Missing Mod show. I love to go over there. I love her to death, absolutely. Despite everything, I love to the core of my being. I love Missing Mod. You can see me gibbering in your show, Philosobers. Mainly I'm in side chat and in Discord.
Yeah, he's a staple of the more of the chat community, less so on screen, but he's definitely a staple around these many of these groups. Kurt, what's happening with you, man?
So I do have a couple of posts up on Substack that I just put up this week that I'm pretty happy with.
Nice.
I read one before this show started, and it was an absolute banger. I can tell you it's the one that you posted on the 22nd. So yeah, I was reading it right before the show started.
So they're both about the same syllogism, and I think it's a very strong syllogism. And I got a third post coming up later this week, so if anybody's interested.
Okay. Yeah, y'all check him out on the Substack. In the description of the video, you should have a few different people that are regulars, and Kurt is one of them. It'll have his Substack listed there in the description of the video. You can click on it. Casey, I don't believe I've had you on the channel before. You haven't come in and spoke before, huh? All right. Well, Casey is something of a staple herself in the circles where I hang out anyway. So
she is.
I got to admit, you look different than when you were with the Sunshine Band.
Yeah, Casey, this is Kurt. We love Kurt. Kurt's going to divert us into music throughout the discussion. I guarantee it.
So sorry.
No, it's totally fine.
I love it.
Yeah. I was fixing to say or owls, but I was
owls.
No, I'm not going to say that.
No, there is music about owls. So.
Yes, there is music about owls.
There
so
is.
You're so right there with it, Kurt. I appreciate it.
No, and just to say, one of the reasons that I have been reluctant for the past year and a half that I've been in this community to go up on stage, at least in the beginning, was part of was my job. I don't want to go into what it is, but it's I have to limit what content is created about me online, and I need to watch out what stuff, not as much for my own for my own good, yes, but also for the job itself. I need to maintain a certain amount of integrity visually, I guess, for my customers and for my employer. And so that's one of the reasons I'm getting a little bit more comfortable now with it, not necessarily blowing up on stage. That's what I want to avoid as much as possible. And that's why I like you guys, Robert, you stay pretty even-headed. Kurt stays very even-headed. And Casey does as well. Casey's we've met, more recently. But I really like the influence of Casey. And then we have Robin. And
Robin, how's it going?
And all that even-headed shit just went out the window.
I have to admit that I'm not seeing myself in the even-headed description, but I'm happy to hear that someone thinks so.
I think of you that way, Kurt. How about that? I think of you.
I think maybe you might be a little. You barely fit in the even-headed. Yes.
Yeah, no, but Robin, you're one of those. I feel safe around you. I feel like I'm going to. I feel like you're a good champion for the things that we believe in. And so you're one of those bighorned
Yes.
buffalo. Yes. So I mean, all of you are. All actually, everybody on this panel is of the protector class, and I like that. I really do like that.
Yeah.
And
So I'm curious. Yeah, Robin, Casey, what are your thoughts on this? Do you have your own opinions of kind of like why these groups happen, why these dynamics happen, and what is it? What brings you to these channels, to these internal channels and YouTube channels?
Go ahead, Casey.
Oh, I think Hizzel covered a lot of it. I think, we're social creatures, so being able to find community. I like to have my ideas challenged and to learn from other people. If I teach other people stuff, that makes me feel good. It's nice to have influence in there. I've met a lot of really great people and made a lot of good friends. So kind of, I think, sums up a good portion of it.
The level-headedness, and I say level-headedness, but the ability to be in a group at all, a healthy group, is a skill. Not everybody has that skill. The beliefs aren't as important. Sometimes they can be indicative of somebody who doesn't want to be in a group, but the beliefs aren't as important as the ability to go into a group and not destroy that group, not try to destroy that group. That's what I'm really looking for. I'm looking for people who care about other people.
Yep. Robin,
Well,
what's your thoughts on it?
I live in Kentucky, and I'm stuck in a wheelchair right now. So, like, my social life would really suck without the internet. But even before that, I was coming to spaces like this because I grew up, indoctrinated into religion. Everybody I know is indoctrinated into religion, and so about 8 years ago, this became a completely new concept to me. And I played, in a world that I had no idea even existed, I don't think. So I feel like that there was a lot of stuff that I was behind on learning about, biblical scholarship and philosophy and science and just all kinds of stuff. And I'm kind of one of them people who like to be thorough about stuff. So when I kind of go into a topic, I like to just explore it to every little nook and cranny of it. So that's what I'm doing to the ideal of religion, I guess.
So yours might be more of you're exploring all of these different things, and you want people that might have come into all of these different nooks and crannies and have knowledge about these different aspects of it.
Yes, yeah. Because it seems like there's just so much stuff. You're really good on certain things, and Kurt's really good on certain things, and Hizzel's really good on certain. You know what I mean? But I think that I find I learn something from all of y'all. And I catch myself when I'm talking to people, sometimes I will, say something that I remember Kurt saying or Hizzel or you that or Casey that I learned that I just kept tucked away.
Yeah. Good. Kurt, you've been kind of quiet. You side thing, or what's going on with you, man?
No, I'm just enjoying the conversation, and I didn't want to, over musically owl things for you guys.
Yeah. And I thought your Casey and the Sunshine Band joke was funny.
Good.
It flew right over my head.
Yeah, we might be a little.
Really, Hizzel was talking later, and I was like, "Oh God."
Well, let's do a little dance then.
We might be a little older than Casey, so she might not have been roller skating around and stuff. We were.
I was barely roller skating around with that. The resurgence, yeah.
So, Kurt, you're, I think, me, you, Robin, I don't know with KC, but I think we come from a religious background that, like, we were fully in it at one time.
Oh, yeah.
KC, I don't know if you were. Were you quite in the depth of a religion? If you're talking, I'm not hearing you. You must be muted or something.
Yep,
Okay,
sorry.
I got the
Yes.
gesture, but you are.
Yeah,
Okay,
I was raised
I
Catholic.
gotcha.
And it's funny
Okay.
that the opposite of that, just real quick, that is actually something that draws me in. You said that, you know, everybody comes, you guys, both you and Robin were saying, like, you didn't even know what atheism was, like if there was anything else.
Yeah.
And I am on a daily basis astounded by the theism. By, like, like, you're telling me stuff about, you know, the Pentecostal faith, and I had no idea that, like, it was so varied and, you know, diverse. You know, I grew up in Catholic and very quickly switched to, or my family switched to Episcopalianism, and, you know, I mean, that's like one of the most liberal and accepting, you know, offshoots, sects of Christianity. You know, my parents.
I mean, it is now. They were hardly liberal under Elizabeth I.
Right. and it's essentially COE. I mean, it's the Church of England ultimately. But once it came to the United States and they changed their name, you know, because they didn't want to be associated with them anymore. Yeah, like the modern day Episcopal Church is a lot more, you know, community oriented and accepting. But still, you know, I was always, you know, I would come to my parents and say, what is this weird stuff? And they never really pushed it on me, even being heavily in the church and church leaders. It was never really pushed on me. And I you know, it never got its grasp really. And then early teen, you know, I kind of went on my own way, but I've always thought of the theists around me as being very accepting, very opening. And then I come to these spaces and I find, you know, a bunch of, excuse my language, just a bunch of assholes, and it is amazing. And not just assholes, but that, you know, that's a big part of it. I come from the exact opposite, where I'm, you know, I didn't know weird theists exist, as I call them, weird theists.
Yeah.
You know, just these bizarre beliefs that people have. I don't even truly believe that they believe these weird things. I'm like, I don't know what to make of it. I really don't know what to make of it. More and more I'm understanding, but yeah, I come to these spaces and to study the people. I study these weird religions, these weird sects of Christianity. Like how, you know, how do these people believe these things? This is bizarre.
Yeah.
So it's a weird juxtaposition from most of the people that come to these groups.
Did everybody get a chance to catch Tavo's chance to put on the secular shoes when he debunked Mormonism the other night?
Yeah, I was there.
It was so sweet to watch a bunch of Christians put on their, like, skeptical hats and talk about how you can't just believe that on faith and there's no evidence for this. It was like so chef's kiss.
Yeah, my Proverbs guys do the same thing, and then you know, like they do that. They'll do that to, like, even the Catholic Church, you know, or the Orthodox Church, and that, you know, none of that applies to their own.
Mm-hmm. I think that should happen too. I think that's ultimately a good thing. I would like to see more theists fighting with theists.
You know, it's happening in the side chat.
Oh, absolutely.
It's going to happen.
I saw Robin. I saw you said that. You said, I'm so happy that.
Well, because like Nick was aggravating the piss out of everybody, you know what I mean? And Claire was all tore up because you told her that you wouldn't talk to her.
Right.
And so I did, and they were you know, like harassing Casey a little bit and Dave. So I was like, oh, good.
Well, on Claire's point, it's probably it's probably better for her if she's not seen talking to me, because then people that I'm employed with may be interested in looking at her and some of her terroristic tendencies and whatnot that she's got out on the internet. Yeah, that it's more of a protection for her. And they probably wouldn't appreciate me talking to somebody like Nick.
No, but I think it's It's a great, John Loftus had, I think, either a book or at least a series of writings about the outsider test for faith. And I think it's just a spectacular idea, right? Look at your own religion as you would an outsider, would it, as if it was something that was being presented to you for the first time, and examine it with the same lens you examine other religions.
Yeah.
Now I hope
Scott,
you're
what's going on
watching
with you, man?
chat, Robert, because I can't do any kind of modding while
Yeah,
on
let
screen.
chat do chat.
What's up, Doom?
Let chat do chat.
All right.
It's
But you
it's
said there's
too
3
rabid.
good mods out there a while ago. I was like, what did I miss?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know what was going on in chat, so I was just, checking to see. I was just checking to see if anybody was even seeing what was going on.
Oh,
in
I was
chat.
like, I'm a mod. I don't know how good I am, but I'm a mod.
Yeah, you're a good mod. I totally forgot that you were in there. I saw you earlier, but I didn't know if you were still there because I know you mess with OEs sometimes this time of day.
Yeah, well,
But,
Dane is on over there too, so I'll probably have to go over and say hi over there too. So, but
Scott, what's happening with you, man?
Oh, not a whole lot. I'm really sleepy. I've been having some my heart rate. It's called tachycardia, where your heart races too fast. And so I swore off of caffeine for a day or two, and I'm just sleepy all the time. So,
keep the thumbtacks away from your chest.
Okay, well, but then what? That's why I'm having to come here for fun, because I can't put tacks in my heart. So. Anyway, that's a bad joke, but I did enjoy your KC joke, by the way, Kurt. I thought that was
great.
Yeah, the KC joke was spot on. You missed on this one a little bit. No, it was.
We're such boomers.
Well, you know, they have these. At least in my feed on YouTube, they do all these retro nostalgia videos about music, and it's like whenever they say, 20 songs from the 70s that have been erased from history that you'll never remember. I remember them.
Oh, yeah, me too. And I'm like, I forgot about that song, though. Yeah, I love them.
The thing is, a lot of them they played on, at least they did when I listened to classic rock, early 2000s or whatever, they would play them on those stations. So I don't know. I think that's just something to act as clickbait, really.
Yeah. Let me do just a quick address. Let me just do a quick address on this one. Have I posted anything terroristic? I mean, that really depends on the definition that you're subscribing to. But as far as you've posted something that suggests that government should enforce a penalty by pain, by beating them with sticks and whatnot, and that you want to influence and get that passed into government, some government agencies can see that as terroristic for sure. As to the bylaws that the FBI or Secret Service use, I don't know, but I would say that your religious ideas that I've seen and that I've read, as far as Sharia law, like Sharia law is already on a big FBI, CIA kind of like watch list to make sure that this is not trying to push in too much. So yeah, I would say that alone, you're so Sharia law that it's ridiculous.
Right. And it's these aren't opinions of mine. No, absolutely not. No, I don't think all Muslims are terrorists, especially not the ones that live in and around me, that are part of my community. Absolutely not. I'm in a very diverse community here. People of all faiths, but I would be a little bit concerned with what I was posting if I was Claire Call. And especially if you do a Google search for Claire Call and see the images that are out there, I would be a little concerned if I was Claire Call.
Yeah, most of the Muslims I know are uncles, aunts, and grandmas, and people who are just very nice people, and I have no problem with. But
absolutely not.
I mean, I think Claire is a moral realist, so that's a very bizarre position to hold. I'm a moral anti-realist, so I think that's the way she likes it. But she wants to enforce her position on everyone, and that's not okay.
She thinks I deserve to get public beatings for having 2 out-of-wedlock children.
And being the lowest class of individual.
And then my kids would also, after I took the public beatings, go to a different school than kids who had 2 parents.
Yeah.
So, I told her I would rather die fighting than live in a hell like that.
Yeah, it might be that it's more so anti-constitutional positions than it is terrorism. Maybe that would have been
But overthrowing the Constitution is kind of a thing that is like not a thing.
Right. If you're trying to overthrow the Constitution by force, it's terrorism. But if you're trying to do it by law, I guess, or by vote, by the popular, I guess I wouldn't classify it as that.
Yeah, even though our leader did pardon the people that tried to do that. But all right, I'm gonna be off here, and hello everybody. Love y'all.
Love you, Robin.
Hizzel, I love you. You know, I love you.
Thanks for stopping by.
Yes, man. Thank you so much.
Get down tonight, Robin.
Yes, I can't. I'm stay down most of the time right now.
that's the chair. That's right.
Yeah, it's cruel and unusual. That's the main thing. Like the ideal of inflicting physical pain on someone for judgment, not for like law enforcement. We're talking about as a corrective. We're not talking about somebody that is non-compliant, and that law enforcement is having to physically move a person and that someone might get hurt during that. We're talking about, no, they're already in custody and we're going to give them a punishment that is pain, and we're going to make them feel pain and hurt. And that's the punishment that we're like, that's an anti-constitutional position for sure. I would say it's an anti-human rights position.
Very much so. Yeah.
That's for the kind of the weird entertainment of the masses.
Yep. What's up, Casey?
Yep.
Concept of treat as weighted, and I think you're equal, and I want the same treatment as would be it is treatment, and that makes it real. In the sense that I'd be sequestered from the community, I want there to be some kind of action to make your stops. Maybe even get treatment for it, some kind of ailment that's on it, mental illness.
Yeah. So in the spirit of that, I'm sorry, I apologize. I didn't mean to step on you. In the spirit of that, though, what he said when he said, "Did Zeus say this?" It immediately caught my eye. I wanted to go back to it because he said, "Well, did Zeus say treat others how you want to be treated?" Funny that you should mention that. So here's 7 different things that has been said that are similar to the golden rule, and this is what archaeologists, what scholars on the subject think was the foundation of the golden rule. 1st century, we have do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The 4th century BCE, we have from Aristotle, we should conduct ourselves towards others as we would have them act towards us. 5th century BCE, we have in Judaism, love your neighbor as yourself. 5th century, early 5th century BCE, from Zoroastrianism, that nature alone is good, which refrains from doing unto others whatsoever is not good for itself. And these reappear in a lot of cultures. Hinduism was the last one before the last, or the one before the last, but the very last one, ancient Egypt, 2040 to 1650 BCE, do for one who may do for you, that you may cause him thus to do, which is very much the same thing. So not only is this in religions that go all the way back to the Egyptians, like it's regularly a thing. So to act like Jesus came up with it is insane to me.
It isn't a crazy revolutionary thought that would be difficult for people to come up with. Your social
And I'm going to avoid plugging my book because that's from a book that I wrote. But anyway.
Nice. Well, Isocrates also said, don't do that which angers you when people do it to you, which is very similar. And he said that centuries before the gospel.
I'm sorry,
there is definitely a Confucian version and a Taoist version. I know that. The Confucian is what you don't wish for yourself, don't do to others.
Yeah, I think the people are saying that Casey's mic was cutting out. Yeah, I think she's having some internet problems.
But the other thing is that a lot of the universalist ideas, a lot of the things that we find admirable in the character in the Gospels are cynical ideas that existed in the Greek school of cynicism dating back to the 3rd and 4th century BCE. These are the idea of a cosmopolitan, a citizen of the world, is a cynical idea. It comes from the idea that everybody is equal and everybody, whether slave or free, are all equally valuable to the world. And that comes from the cynics. It doesn't come from Christianity.
Yeah. I don't remember the rule. I think, Casey, I think you were present when we were reading over some of the rules of, what is it? The 71 sayings of Pythagorean. I think we run into something very similar to that. So yeah, I do believe that he's considered amongst those philosophers. But Pythagorean kind of had his whole religion got started after him. I think in Italy they built the school of Pythagorean.
Well, arguably, Platonism is just an extension and a revision of Pythagoreanism anyway. They still worship numbers.
Okay. Yeah. Well, his whole thing was obviously the forms with the Pythagorean theorem, but obviously they had all this doctorial stuff too of how you're supposed to behave and so forth. But interesting set of rules. Obviously, everybody's been putting rules down that slowly but surely are getting us refined. And I heard a question earlier from secular Quranism. She said, well, if not the Quran, then what book, what doctrine would be best to live by? And I couldn't help but think a coloring book would be better than that book. There's not a book that I can pick that wouldn't be better than that one.
Certainly, the 47 Doctrines of Epicurus would be far superior, although I have my little minor complaints with those, but they're very minor compared to what I have with the Quran.
Hey, Robert, do you mind if I put a link to your book on Amazon in the chat? Are you cool with that? I know you don't want to advertise it, but I want to. Is that okay?
Okay. Yeah, sure. All right. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
But I've said before that I think you can have a child. You could basically throw in the flowers and at a wedding, and you could throw to a group of 10-year-olds, and whoever called it, you could get them to write 10 commandments, right, for how humans should behave. And I'm completely confident that 10-year-old can write better than both the books that both of these religions have put.
Okay, Big Nick, you're not getting it. You're not getting the thing here. It's intellectual priority. Intellectual priority means that the person who came up with the idea first is the one who thought of it. Anyone else who repeats it after that is not coming up with it. They are just regurgitating what they heard elsewhere. So if Jesus says a bunch of things other people said before he said them, he's not the origin of them. That's the point. Clown show.
It's like turning in your big brother's term paper as your own, but changing the words a little. Confucius said it.
Concepts that have obviously penetrated societies, and they've trickled down.
And now Jesus is altering Confucius's original words. I'm assuming Confucius was original, but you don't have.
Everybody's a copy of a copy, I think. Scott.
Yeah.
Probably some dude talking to his kids in 70,000 BCE said something like that, and it just became common knowledge.
Right.
Don't do to Billy what you don't want Billy to do to you, Stevie.
Yeah. What's up, Ed?
Oh, such a comment, man.
I think Nick is just having a meltdown. Yeah, when people speak the truth, it must be lies. Nobody ever said that, but he's concluding that. I think he needs to get a tissue or something.
You'll have to excuse the theists, Scott. They do those kind of leaps of logic that I don't understand.
Yeah, I know.
His picture is Barkley. I mean, I don't even know what that is like trying to get across, but it's certainly not like I am completely trustworthy.
Oh, no.
Didn't he have that one episode where he like took over the whole ship though? Like tried to gain all of the knowledge or something?
He became a genius for a while.
Yeah.
Oh my!
Then he's back to what is it, Barkley?
Yeah, back to being Barkley. Yes. Oh boy. The Quran.
So Ed, what's been going on with you, man? What's your thoughts about this?
I don't know. I've been battling battles for 6.5 years now in this space, and it's like I'm now in a search for a decent conversation, and they are rare. Yeah. They are rare. It used to be I could get good chat conversations probably 5 years ago, but not anymore. Like it's just,
if you talk to Kurt about owl poop, you'll have a great conversation.
It's actually pellets, Scott. They're actually not poop. They come out the gut.
Get it right, Scott. It's embarrassing, Scott.
I've embarrassed myself many times.
I don't think Scott cares about embarrassing himself anymore. He's gotten to that point where he does not care.
Yeah, what if you want to achieve ego death? Wait till you're 62. It's like an everyday thing.
I can't wait, man. I cannot wait. God,
no, just have a teenager. It happens much sooner than
that. That works too. That'll do it.
Well,
I got mine early.
I mentioned ego death earlier because it was just one of those, I don't know what you call it. Like if this is the whole framework of how you believe things and like what drives you, what purpose is, what motivation is. And then you realize this is BS. This isn't even true. It's like I've been living a lie. So there is a sense of you have to kind of let go of the strings of this. As the one string after another got plucked out of your hand at one point, you just got to let go of the strings. And you realize this is nonsense. So it is a type of, in my opinion, a kind of an ego death.
Well, it's kind of interesting what you were saying, because when I went through my struggle and realized God is just not there, he doesn't exist, and this has all been just human mythology, put into action and things like that. I didn't know anything about Richard Dawkins. I mean, the Horsemen, I think it was 2010. So the Four Horsemen were kind of past. Richard Dawkins had written his book. I'm not sure, but I think Christopher Hitchens was about to bring out the God is Not Great book. I'm not sure when that came out, but I didn't know they existed. I didn't know there was a movement. I was kind of surprised, and it was refreshing, but it wasn't what. Like, oh, here's these four guys talking about atheism. I think I'll join them. No, it was,
it wasn't like that at all.
They were saying things that I could identify. They were saying things I felt but expressing it better. And so I just I've never really paid much attention to those four. I enjoyed Christopher Hitchens' hit slaps and things like that.
Yeah.
I would watch a few Richard Dawkins videos, but they were no big deal to me. It's just those guys are atheists too. That's interesting. Yeah. And then, of course, then there were other YouTube channels and groups and things. So people finding one another, having had similar struggles. I think that's one of the things that brings these types of streams together.
The book that actually in that era was the most important to me was definitely not from one of the Four Horsemen. It was actually by Victor Stenger, and it was called God, the Failed Hypothesis. And I think it holds up just as well today.
I remember that title, but I never read it.
Yeah, I think it was all just them seeing chinks in the armor that we had kind of already seen. Like there is this kind of armor of like definitions and things that like makes God and protects these. ideas with both scripturally or apologetics, just like builds this armor of around this invisible thing. And then like we see all of the little chips and the weaknesses in it, and we're like, look, but this is a problem. This doesn't make any sense. And then when we see somebody on the screen, not only do they see these chips too, they're like, yeah, I'm gonna poke my sword in that. I'm gonna poke my sword in that and flick that piece of armor off, because that's BS, is what that is. So then when we see that, we're like, okay, all right.
Right, but I mean, Ed, you resonate with me there, because it's not what happened like 10 or 15 years ago. It's what's going on now.
Correct.
And we've got to handle that. And right now we're facing a potential fascist takeover, and something's got to be done about that.
Yeah, like the horsemen were good timing, because you had 9/11, and then there was this groundswell against religion that kind of culminated in the Four Horsemen. And then they kind of, that dissipated as the problems have changed. The problems are different now. Like, I'm not, as much as I like to worry about Islam from time to time, I have a problem in my own backyard called Christian nationalism. So it's like, I've got a bigger thing to fry at the moment, and something that's closer to me that can actually affect me far greater. And so, you gotta look at what's your biggest threat and closest to you, and that's the problem. Like, it's why I don't understand the current Four Horsemen problem, because the two that are left are like going after Islam all the time. I'm like, dude, there's like something in our own backyard. Like, it's like, it's right there in my face. It's growing every day. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they're more concerned with the global growth, though, because I think globally,
I get it.
Islam might have a higher growth rate. They're not bigger. They're not bigger than Christianity, but I think their growth rate is at a higher projection, I believe. So maybe that's their thinking on it. I don't know.
Hopefully it's shallow belief. I think enough. I think there are some adherents to these that have very shallow beliefs, and that even goes even more to I always ask you guys, why do y'all fight with these people? They're so stupid. Like, but I'm reminded time and time again that it's not for them, it's for the people listening. And I think a lot of people that go to, or I think an amount of people that are drawn to the religion want to find the community more than anything, and it's more of a shallow belief, and they are poised to be convinced otherwise. There is value in that.
That is a threat, man. Gosh,
I mean, in the USA today, the numbers are that's 1% of the population is Muslim, and that's greater than the percentage of population that's Eastern Orthodox. So, like, these are just not serious movements, whereas 11% are Protestant, Christian nationalists, or Catholic integralists. And Catholic integralists seem to have a sizable foothold in the Supreme Court. So that's where the genuine problem is.
Seems more Catholic than the Pope at times.
Yeah, the Pope is less Catholic than the American Catholics. That's actually true.
Yeah, so if it really was what Nick is saying here, treat others as you want to be treated, as such a threat. If that's truly what it was, because the way that everybody wants to be treated is they don't want to their rights to be infringed on. They don't want laws made for like, you don't want a law made because someone has a Muslim, they read something in the Quran, right? You in no way, shape, or form want a law to dictate how you behave because it was in the Quran.
You wouldn't want your kids to have Buddhist prayer wheels that they had to spin in class.
Exactly, in class. So when you talk about this, treat others as you want to be treated, oh, it's such a threat. That's not a threat if it were true. But if it were true, then you wouldn't be trying, these religions wouldn't be trying to push these into schools. They wouldn't be trying to target young, incredulous minds of children. So it's not true that they're treating others how they want to be treated.
Besides, if you're not going to be behind the idea of protecting the rights of the minority of people who aren't in charge, who aren't part of the power group, then you're not American, because that's what the Constitution and having constitutional rights is all about. It doesn't matter how many of this group there is. Everybody has equal stance before the law, and you don't get to discriminate. And that's what happens under a Christian nationalist fascist society.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've been rather quiet, Casey. What are you doing over there?
I am crocheting. Just actually, I do.
Okay.
She's got to get her boogie shoes on.
Yeah.
On my boogie shoes.
Yeah. Hey, appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining us, Casey. I'm really
thanks
glad
for
that you
coming
popped up here. Thank you so much.
All right.
That'll do.
Take care, Casey. Bye. Yeah, targeting children with ideas. Yeah, that's what I said. I stick by it. You're targeting children with ideas that aren't backed by any of the sciences. They're backed by just dogma. It's just, this guy said it in a book. This is totally different from things that you might reject, like evolution, or things that we can demonstrate through the sciences. So
yeah.
But if you forced religions to compete in an open marketplace where they could only try to convert adults and they could not give religious instruction to children, like it would be like economics, right? Children figure out what their stance is on Keynesianism or like taxation policy when they're adults. Nobody says, we're supply siders in this house, right? they figure that out as they take an econ class, if they ever do, right? So if you like did that as with religion, then all these truths would just wither away and die. They would never be able to convince adults.
And it's those,
have to have kids.
And it's funny that those same ideas for a lot of theists continue on into adulthood. They're still relying on those childhood distillations, so to speak, and take these up, and then are completely confused when rational adults aren't sold. It's these same, I don't want to say stupid, but these same childish distillations of the Bible that they're still running on. And then they look and they see, oh well, here's a deeper point, let's go. But still, the rationalization is what they were when they were first indoctrinated, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think anybody turns to this religion for logical reasons. I'm going to be honest. I've yet to find one that does do it for logical reasons, even when we have very intelligent people, such as, and I mentioned this before, the gentleman that worked on the Genome Project, Colin. Why can I not remember his name? Francis Collins. Francis Collins, wrote in his book, right, gave away the story, so to speak, as why he deconverted. And it was for emotional reasons. So what happens is they come to this, or rather converted, not deconverted. They come to these religions for patently emotional reasons, and then they justify them through some logical framework. And to the degree that they're willing to denigrate their logical processes is going to vary greatly. So someone like Francis Collins, which is a very intelligent individual, is not going to do something as far as, yes, the Noah's Ark is real, it totally happened, right? He's too intelligent to do that. Whereas there are people at different scales of this that are going to completely pay lip service to and take that position. They're not intelligent enough to understand all of the problems with it, right? But it's all converting for emotional reasons. No one says, "Oh, yes, I just came to this purely logically," right? This is obviously the case.
Even adult conversions. Adult conversions follow a very, very predictable pattern, which is the person develops an affinity for another person or group, and then they just accept the whole bundle of beliefs of that person or group. That's it's not like, oh, well, they convinced me of a thing that I had previously been unaware of. And then it became clear to me that all tax rates should be capped at 20%.
Yeah.
No, I just go back to my Christian education pastor days and just remember sitting down with my senior, and they're like, we got to get these kids early because the statistics show that the earlier we get a child, the more likely they are to stay in the church. Like that is a statistic we worked from. And
That's what I love about the anti-pedo Baptist people.
Oh my
A
God.
child can't decide. You can't baptize an infant. It's wrong. But when they're 12, fuck it. Yes, 12 years old, you're
Yeah,
ready to
there we
go.
go.
All
There we go.
right, you
It's-
have pubic hair 1. You can now decide for Christ.
And to your point, Ed, you're talking about you guys sat down and talked about it. In some of the more, I don't know. I don't know, super organized churches. It's actually there's actually a book for all of this stuff. I've sat down with my parent and talked about. They have a book
Several.
that talks about like doctrine in the church, not necessarily doctrine, but just tools that they use in the church. Yeah, absolutely, it's known. There's an age group. I don't remember exactly what it is. It's like 8 to 12 or something like that.
8 to 12 is a key demographic. If you can hit a kid between 8 and 12 and they really commit to Jesus, they will stay committed far longer than anybody else. Like it's a well-known fact. So
they let me slip through, which I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for that. Like my priest parent let me slip through. That was more important for them.
How could they have dropped the ball?
I know. And I'm sure that they've gotten, they don't talk about this when they're leading the church. They're retired now, but when they were leading the church, they don't talk about that so much, about how they have an atheistic son. That's not something they really talk to. But we're fine talking about it together. But they they understand that the people in their congregation sees them as a messenger of God, even though that's whatever. They almost see them as an incarnation of God. Congregants are very weird in that regard, and I'm not so happy that my parent leans into that or has leaned into that in the past, but I guess that's the game.
Let me try to address one over here on the side. I think Nick is saying that it was revolutionary at the time to treat others as you would have them treat yourself in the time of Christ, which is so unbelievably uneducated. I can't even begin to explain how uneducated
it's not revolutionary if everybody has said it for thousands of years beforehand. This is not revolutionary.
And it was recently said before Jesus.
Within Judaism, in the book of Tobit, there's this idea that you should give alms to everybody and everybody is your brother. And it's a central Judaistic idea.
Kurt's right.
But that's not all. Plato's Republic was really huge in the time of Jesus, amongst the intelligentsia. And Plato's Republic talks about this very subject. So,
it wasn't a new concept. It's
not new. It's everywhere. And he says something.
Jesus did
It's
not
like someone
teach
today.
revolutionary.
It's like someone today coming up with dialectical materialism and saying, I came up with this idea. I know Karl Marx said it before me, but it's mine. No,
it's like
it's Karl Marx.
I spent a great deal of time comparing the teachings of Jesus to the other rabbinical teachings of the time. He's not doing anything different. Like there's a lot, like the stuff about the end times and the apocalyptic stuff is unique to him in the way he puts it, but his teachings on morality are right straight from Judaism. Like there's nothing there.
I mean, it's only unique if you posit that it existed before 70 CE. After 70 CE, it's in no way unique. It's just describing what happened.
Yeah, like there's just nothing in his teachings that wasn't borrowed from somewhere else. So there's nothing revolutionary about it. So now the apocalyptic stuff, the temple bit, that would be unique, but it's not unique anywhere else. So.
Yeah, it's weird that we did this whole little thing here against this verse. This is a part of one of the reasons, why we gather is because we see claims that are made like this, and we're like, that's not true at all. That person just made a claim that was blatantly and demonstrably not true for their apologetics. And sometimes we see this, and sometimes people collectively see this, and they're gathering together only because they're like, you see this too, right? This is crazy. And that's some of the cohesions of the groups.
Yeah, it's like all of us are the little kids watching the naked emperor parading, and we're going, no, you see it too, right?
Right, exactly. The emperor with no clothes. Kind of the kids like, am I crazy here? This guy's naked, right? And everybody finally is like, yes, this dude's naked. But yeah, that is a type of coalescence. And there was something that he might have been saying in the original writings on this side at that side of the street, that where there were different groups. Like this side of the street was saying it, and in the original Hans Christian Andersen version of that. Do you know what I'm talking about, Kurt? Or have you read that Hans Christian Andersen version of the
Emperor's New Clothes?
Yes.
Yes. But I read it when I was a kid. Like it was like it's been a long time.
There was something in the section about this side and that side of the street, and how like a wave or something was going on. So the side of the street where the boy was on, it started to become rumblings on that side, and everybody was like, "Yeah, dude, he's not wearing any clothes." But it hadn't hit the other sides. I can't remember exactly. I don't think it was super spelled out, but it was indicating the one side of the street was the wave was kind of moving in. But that's an interesting group thing.
Looks like Nick is playing.
The link I posted in the chat is to a book that is about the myth of persecution and how Christians invented their history of persecution. It's a very good book by a serious scholar.
Oh yeah,
good.
I think I've got this somewhere.
It's the woe is me. They're not alone in it. I just think that if someone's won a championship belt in it, it's them. It's Christianity. Like if someone deserves an award in woe is me, I am persecuted. It's Christianity.
There's CJ Cornthwaite has a fantastic video about how Christians need to be persecuted. And you see it in their rhetoric here in the United States, right? Like literally not one group is less persecuted than Christians. And yet this administration is running a whole task force on persecution of Christians. Like by who? Yeah. By other Christians only. It's the only kind of people who could be persecuting Christians in America is other Christians.
Persecuted. It's just such a joke to me. It's laughable. But yeah, we're getting towards the top of the hour. We're about 4 minutes left, so we'll do a roundabout. And I do believe, unfortunately, the only one here with the actual YouTube channel is Ed. So we'll start with Ed, and then we'll go from there. Ed, what you do?
I do broadcast during the week at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. I'm probably going to drop down to 4 a week instead of 5, just so I get some time to write and do some videos. So that's what I do, and I hang out. And I think everybody else in this room has hung out with me at one time or another. So kind of cool. Wanted to say hi to Professor Hizzel face to face. So appreciate seeing you. So yes,
likewise,
that's what
absolutely.
I do.
Great to see you, brother.
Excellent. Yeah, check out Ed. I think his link is in the description also of the videos of a regular guest that'll pop on from time to time. But that said, I will talk to you later, Ed. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Take care.
Take care.
Scott, you've been doing stuff primarily with Mike over at Answers in Atheism, huh?
Yeah, we've been trying to get a little more active. Mike just really likes to keep his nose in books. He's always studying. He comes up every once in a while and goes, we ought to make a video. And then we do. And then he goes back to doing that. So we did Snatta yesterday. That was fun. Okay. Snatta is Sunday night at the Atheist, which is kind of a strange name, but we called it that anyway. And then
wouldn't it be Saturday, Scott?
Say what?
It's Saturday.
Saturday night?
Saturday night at the Atheist.
It's on, Saturday night at the Atheist. What did I say?
I think you said Sunday.
Oh, okay. See, I haven't
it's
had
all good
all day.
Caffeine. I hurt for you because I take caffeine in regularly.
My heart has not raced once, so I may be getting on to something there. But anyway, just check out Answers in Atheism YouTube channel, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. We're just about 80 away from 1,000 subscribers, so it would be much appreciated if people who are not subscribed to Answers in Atheism go over there and hit that subscribe button, and eventually we'll do a video.
And if I don't have that link in the regular visitors, I will wind up putting it in there, but I don't
presently appreciate that.
Link. But appreciate it, Scott, and take care, man. All right, Kurt, you're a Substack man all the way. You're a writer more so than a talker these days, it seems like. Though you talk a fair amount on different channels, but you do your own
I
Substack.
told you, Paul. I'm a writer, not a talker. No.
No, you're definitely a talker.
So
yeah, but he
finishing
writes a
up-
lot too.
He does.
I'm finishing up my 3 posts on how there's no good shepherd and no creator. And I think that's going to be a pretty compelling one. But then I just became aware of a book by some Discovery Institute engineer whose last name is Burgess, who tries to argue that the human body is full of irreducibly complex structures. And that's like wild. So I'm probably going to take that one down next.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. Oh, and then I
I'll
have
check
my
it out.
CTF takedown with you on the 9th.
Yes, that is correct. Kurt will be on the 9th. This coming Sunday is going to be open chat. Anyone and everyone can come in on that. I try to, and I'm going to continue as long as I can get guests to come in and fill the time. The beginning of every month, we'll have an open chat, and I invite everybody, come in chat. Let's talk about something. But that's it. Y'all check out Kurt. Check out his Substack. He's got some really great stuff. And appreciate it, Kurt. Talk to you later.
Yes, sir.
All right, rounding it out.
Yep. So for me, you'll see me over there, this gentleman, hanging out. Maybe I'll come back. Maybe I'll have another topic, but I'll definitely be in the chats. Thank you so much, Robert. This was tons of fun. I really enjoyed myself and talking to everybody. This was fantastic, delving into this topic. And I look forward to the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it, man. And I'll chat with you again in a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and take you off stage. Appreciate it, man.
Take care.
All right, everyone. I thank you for joining. I thank you for checking in. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button down there if you enjoyed anything, and check out the people that we've had on here as guests. They make some excellent content. With that said, remain skeptical.